Hi. No instrument today. I wanted to talk to you about options and possibilities. America has a small problem. It's called over reliance upon college, or just a love affair with the college degree. Now, I actually have a college degree, political science and economics. Never used it, never got anything out of it, except for a rather large bill for having gone there, right? But it is, the tendency is to think that you have to have a college degree if you're going to get ahead in the world. And that's not necessarily so. America also has another small problem. We don't have as many piano technicians or instrument repair technicians as we used to. It's because everybody's running off to get a college degree so that they can wind up working in IT or something. The result is that there are some real opportunities out there for anyone with or without a degree. And for anyone who is willing to take on the challenge of being self-employed, who likes puzzles, who has some kind of background in wood shop, metal shop, arts and crafts, is familiar with working with small tools, very small tools sometimes, very small parts. Let me give you some examples. Piano tuning, piano work in general. I charge $125 to tune a piano. Now, once you get used to tuning pianos, once you've tuned several of them, you can do a decent tuning, in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Kind of depends on what else is going on with the piano, of course, but let's assume that the only thing that it needs is a tuning, and you can do that in about an hour and a half to 2 hours, which means you could do 3 pianos in a day. So let's turn on the old calculator here, because I really don't want to have to think. If you do 3 pianos a day at 125, that is going to be $375 a day. If you take that 375 times 5 days, that's $1875 a week. If you take that $1875 times 4.4, there are 4.4 weeks per month. There's 52 weeks. Divided by 12, 4.4. If you take that $1875 per week times 4.4, you're making $82.50 a month. Times 12, you're doing $99,000 a year without the college degree, just with a trade skill. A simple trade skill, actually. One that anyone can easily learn. Now, that's what I charge for a tuning. For a regulation, a full regulation, on an upright, I charge $250. If it's on a spinet, I charge $275. If it's on a grand piano, I charge $300. Mostly because it takes a darn day to do it, right? So, and I base that on a basic rate of $40 per hour. Now, you're not going to work 40 hours a week, okay? You've got travel time and a whole bunch of other things going on. But you're still looking at some pretty serious money. For standard instrument repair, be it work on a guitar or a flute or a brass instrument. Yeah, actually, for all repairs, I charge $40 an hour. If you're going to change the hammers on a piano, the whole set, you're looking at probably probably $250 worth of labor. It's going to take most of the day. It might not take that long, but plus, of course, there is the $300 that it's going to cost for the set of hammers itself. Again, you can start to add up some dollars on this. For flutes and clarinets, I have a couple of set prices. If I'm going to repad a flute or a clarinet, I charge $160 for a repad. Now, at $40 an hour, that assumes it's going to take 4 hours to do it, and it usually doesn't. But $160 for a full repad of a flute or a clarinet is pretty much standard, pretty much industry standard. You would charge more for a saxophone or a tenor sax, bigger instruments and more keys, and it takes more time. Brass instruments, dent work can take a while. Removing a dent can take a bit of time, actually. So there's a good income, a good livelihood to be made in this line of work. If you want to learn this line of work, you don't have to go to a school. There are schools available. Some of them are correspondence courses that are available. There are online courses that are available. There are actual schools that are there that teach, that you can go to. Or you can do it the way I did. As I say, if you have a background in some kind of metalworking or woodworking, you pretty much have the skills that you need, the basic fundamental skills that you need to be able to do this. Then it's just a matter of the application of those skills. When I opened up the music store here in Los Alamos in 2007, I got the music store from the previous owner, who had started out as a piano repair technician and piano tuner, and he had purchased the store back in the mid-'60s. So for 40 years he was like tuning pianos and providing instruments in the whole 9 yards. Tuning pianos and repairing instruments was part of the overall business. So when I acquired the business, it was pretty much expected that I would continue on doing that sort of thing, which I knew nothing about at the time. But I do have a 6-week learning curve. So after several people had asked me about tuning pianos, I finally decided maybe I need to pick this one up. So somebody asked me about tuning a piano, and I said, well, I'm booked for the next 6 weeks. But after that, I think I'll be able to schedule something. I needed that 6 weeks to learn how to do it. And what I did was I found 5 friends who had pianos and who were willing to let me use their piano as a guinea pig to practice it. And I went to my local library, and I found at my local library this book. Okay, this is Piano Servicing, Tuning, and Rebuilding by Arthur Rieblitz. It is considered to be pretty much the standard, almost the Bible, if you will, of the industry. It's fairly complete and complex. And I got this at my local library. You can buy this, and I think this copy, I finally broke down and bought a copy. And I think I spent about $35 for this. $35, $40, somewhere around that. I would have to check. But this book will teach you everything that you need to know. And you just need a few pianos to practice on, to practice the skills on. You start with just tuning, just learning to tune the instrument. There are different ways to tune an instrument. You can learn to tune entirely by ear, or you can use an electronic tuning device, an ETD. And I do the latter because it's a little bit more. Actually, what you wind up doing is a combination. What I have is the Korg Orchestral Tuner 120, which is set for has the proper settings for the tuning. And that gets most of the piano done, and that way I know the temperament is exactly right. After that, I tune the unisons entirely by ear. I also tune the top 2 octaves and the bottom octave by ear as well. We'll get into that some other time. But this book will get you started. Okay? So if you have this book and you get a tuning kit, and a tuning kit consists of a tuning lever, a mute, and a felt strip, and that's pretty much all you need. And you have your electronic tuning device, and there are some that are made that can go, applications that'll go on your iPhone or on your laptop or whatever, and a lot of people use those. You're set to go. This is how I learned piano tuning. That was several years ago. And by now, I not only tune them, I regulate them, I do minor repairs, I do major repairs, I do refinishing, I pretty much do the whole 9 yards. And that comes with experience. For other instruments, if you wanted to get into woodwind repair, flutes, clarinets, saxophones, there is this monster right here. This is the Complete Woodwind Repair Manual by Reg Thorpe. It is over 500 pages of how to do it. It's very complete, it is very detailed, and it is certainly worth the investment. However, again, this one is kind of pricey because it's 550 pages. So you can also get one of these through your local library. They may not have it, but they can get it through what's called interlibrary loan. Another book that you're going to want to take a look at and have available to you is The Guide to Brass Musical Instrument Repair by Christopher Page Blumell. And be this one here. Again, your local library. Interlibrary loan will probably be able to get this for you. I don't know if this is... Okay, I have it here. The price that I had on this was $32.95, so about $33. Published by Northeastern Music Publications, www.nemusicpub.com, and it's a pretty good book. Finally, for orchestral instruments, there is this little thing right here, Violin Repair Guide. The illustrated step-by-step instructions for bow rehearing, repair, and restoration of the violin, viola, cello, and string bass. This is by Michael Atria. It is published by Hal Leonard, and the price listed on this one was $12.99, about $13. Good book, by the way. I've relied upon this on several occasions. What you need then is you have to be able to read, right? Most people can, and understand what it is that you're reading, and you want to be able to acquire then a pretty banged up used instrument. Ideally, you want to get one for free. Now, you don't want one that needs a lot of body work. Unless it's a brass instrument that needs some dent work, because you need to be able to practice that. With an instrument that you spent very little money on, if anything, if you screw it up, you haven't lost anything. It's no big deal. You're not screwing up a customer's instrument. And you want to practice on a few instruments and practice various skills that are in the books until you kind of get an idea of how to do it properly before you take on any customers. That's pretty much it. Now, as far as tools and supplies go, some tools are available online and to the general public. Other specialty tools have to be gotten from specialty houses, and they don't always sell to the general public. I get supplies, tools and specialty supplies for our brass and wind instruments from Allied Supply. But there's also Farees and there is J.C. Smith. For violin or for orchestral and luthier supplies, I've been getting a lot of it from Metropolitan Music. For guitar stuff, guitar repairs, all kinds, Stuart McDonald, Stu Mac, has a good selection. They also have, by the way, a lot of wonderful short videos with tips on how to do this repair or that repair. Although they have yet to do anything on classical guitars, and I'm not quite certain why. So those are the, if you need supplies or tools and you can't get them simply because you're not yet a repair tech, or because you're not a music store owner. If you own a music store, you have access to all this stuff. For those specialties tools that you might need and supplies, you can always get them from me, HannemanMusic.com, and contact me and let me know what you need, and we can figure that one out. It's something to consider for anyone who it's something to consider. There is the matter of, if you're self-employed, there are taxes involved, business taxes involved. You don't necessarily have to have an employee per se. You can, if you've got any place that'll work as a shop, most of these instruments are pretty small, and you can do them in a tiny little room like this one, actually. I think that pretty much covers all of it. There are the matter of business taxes, and keeping records of books, of money in, money out, those kinds of records, but also keeping customer records of instruments that you have worked on by serial number, so that when you see the same instrument again, you can just refer back, what have we done last time? And that way you can start to build a history. And that's a good thing for the customer also to have. When you write a receipt, on your receipt, you want to write down everything that you did with the instrument, so that they have a history that they can rely upon. I just did some regulation this morning on a grand piano, and one of the things that I did was I left the customer with a card that had the measurements for string height, which you need to have if you're going to do regulation, for the what size of center pin to use, because I had to replace a couple of flanges, and what the key heights were, because this particular make and model of instrument, there was no published measurements for key height. So once I had set that, I left that on that card. Now the customer can keep that card then as a history on the piano, so that if someday somebody else is working on the piano, they have that information there in front of them. So you're going to want to do that. It can be a lot of fun. It's going to have you driving all over town. You're going to meet all sorts of wonderful people. You're also going to meet all of their pets, right? I think I've met almost every dog and cat in Los Alamos County by now. And it is. You're going to have to keep a calendar and keep your schedule, and you're going to have to stay on top of that and stay on top of your paperwork. But there are certain rewards to being self-employed. For one thing, you can't be fired unless you decide that you don't want to do it anymore. For another thing, you don't, as we said at the outset, you don't really need a degree or special education to be able to do this stuff. If you have any background at all. If you are in high school and have yet to take any classes, if your high school offers a woodshop class, you definitely want to take that. Same thing with a metal shop class. If you're out of high school, several community colleges also offer classes in woodshop, metalworking, the kinds of basic fundamental skills that you would need to be able to do this kind of work. So it's something for you to ponder anyway and think about, and it can be a really good opportunity for people who are looking for something somewhat different than the standard run-of-the-mill type of working for somebody else type of operation. Thank you very much, and eventually I'll get around to doing another actual instrument video.